Prime Minister, my first question goes to you. Your country, Dominica, was strongly hit by the Hurricane Maria a few months ago. Your country is an island, so of course it make it more vulnerable, doesn't it?
Sure. Well, the Caribbean was faced with two Category 5 hurricanes in a matter of 2 weeks. This is unprecedented. We are firmly of the view that climate change is responsible for the climatic challenges which we're facing in the Caribbean. My country, Dominica, we had a hurricane in September of this year where 226% of our GDP was impacted, if 90% of our homes affected, several deaths. This is why we are here today, to first of all commend the leadership of the French Republic for hosting this event, because we have the view that we have had enough talk about climate change and the actions which we to take. We agreed onto the Paris Agreement 2 years ago. We have to operationalize the Paris Agreement now. Otherwise, countries like Dominica, countries in the Caribbean will disappear. And what we're saying to the world is that the focus on climate change must not only be on what the developed world needs to do for themselves and by themselves, but the developed world also has an obligation to island states like ours, small island developing states like ours, who do not contribute anything significant to carbon emissions, but are the main sufferers of those carbon emissions. And so we need to operationalize the Paris Accord. We need to make financing available to developing countries like ours much more efficient. There must not only be a pledge, but there must be the actualization of those pledges to allow it to get to our countries the soonest, because time is of the essence, and our existence are threatened. And I am here to say to us that if we fail to operationalize the Paris Agreement, to make the monies available to countries like ours, we would really be declaring all the discussion and all of the progress we made in advancing the cause of climate change and the decisions and actions we should take null and void. So my plea to you here as a small island developing states and representing the Caribbean is that we need to act. We have talked, we have dialogued, we have conversed. Now is the time to act, because many countries are on the brink of disappearing. And we do have a vision, we do have a plan on how we can make our islands more resilient, how we can make our agriculture more resilient, our tourism, how we can ensure that our citizens are more protected.
You would make it more resilient, rebuilding it?
Rebuilding it. Rebuilding it. It's not about adaptation, it's about making it more resilient. And I think we need to focus more on resilience rather than adaptation. And in respect to the financing, we're appealing for more grants than loans, because many of our countries are already highly indebted. And to borrow would add to the impact on our countries. It would increase poverty, it would increase our debt. So it is not about making finance available. It's about, one, making grants available to our countries, and also ensuring that the procurement processes are also shortened to allow the funds to get to us as quickly as possible. My friends, those of us who are champions and who believe in the science of climate change, we need to act. And we need to act now. Otherwise, we will find a situation where countries like ours and those of us who believe that climate change is responsible for what's happening in the environment will lose faith. Because our citizens are asking, why are we going to these conferences every 3 months? Why are we having the discussion when my livelihoods, my survival are at stake? You know, I have had deaths in my families. My investments have disappeared. What is going to happen, and when will it happen in terms of taking action to correct the situation? So I really want to commend the leadership of the world, all of us who are here, the private sector, civil society, all of us who are championing the cause of climate change, but to say to us, we do not have time, is that we have declared a vision for the country and to create the world's first climate resilient nation in the world. And to achieve this, we are creating a special purpose vehicle called the Climate Resilience Execution Agency of Dominica. So that agency will be charged with the responsibility of implementing the vision of allowing Dominica to be the world's first climate resilient nation in the world. And we're talking about not only the physical infrastructure, but people's livelihoods, ensuring that they can be sustainable livelihoods, ensuring that the forests are protected and preserved. So this is how we're going to go about implementing that new vision for our country. But obviously, as my friend indicated from UNDP, our national resources are limited and certainly will not be able to implement this vision because we are setting a 5-year time frame to implement this vision because time is of the essence. It cannot be 2025 or 2030 or 2035. It has to be now. And therefore, there's a certain urgency towards the implementation of this strategy. And recognizing that we have limited capacities, this agency will be staffed by local Dominican citizens, but also bringing on board international expertise and knowledge to assist us in the implementation of this very important strategy.